After spending months exploring Kauai, driving to all of the corners of the island, getting lost in the jungle, and soaked in unexpected rain, I've learned a few lessons the hard way. So here are some of the things that I wish that I knew before I visited, things that I really recommend that you do, and things that you can avoid, which I hope will make your trip a little bit smoother. Number one, the weather is wild. It changes so quickly. You really can't trust the weather app here. Kauai's microclimates change within minutes, and it might be pouring in Hanalei and super sunny in Poipu at exactly the same time. So don't cancel your plans if it's raining, just go for a drive. When I'm planning to go snorkeling or diving, I like to check the surf report. So bad surfing means there's gonna be good snorkeling and diving. I also like to check the live webcams. There's one specifically in Lihue for the Lihue Beach Resort, which shows the beach right outside of the resort. And coincidentally, that's one of my favorite places on the south side to go snorkeling, so I can always kind of check the conditions before I leave the house. But there's also webcams at Brenneke, so you can see Poipu Beach. There's one from Whalers Cove in Poipu. There's one of Kalapacki Beach at Royal Senesta, the hotel. And then there's some up north in Hanalei too. One from the Hanalei Bay Resort and another one from the Hanalei Colony Resort. So I'll link all of those below so you can check the webcam so that you can check the weather and the wave conditions before you head out. In general, the North Shore is just wetter, which is why the mountains stay so lush and green. The south side or the leeward side of the island is always drier. So rain shadow is formed when moist air is pushed over a mountain where it cools and then releases the moisture. This is over Mount Vaialieli, which is one of the wettest places on Earth. And then once all of this is done, the wind descends the other side of the mountain as warm, dry air. And that's the rain shadow. That's the leeward side of the island. And that's going to be Poipu, Hanapepe, sort of like the southwest side of the island. I would say bring a light jacket, clothes that you don't mind getting wet, and plan for flexible days. So book any big activities like the Nepali Coast Boat Tour for early on in your trip so that if it gets canceled, they have time to rebook it during your visit. The ocean conditions report comes out about a week in advance, and sometimes it's just safer to reschedule. But if you plan for early in your trip, then you'll have the opportunity to reschedule for while you're still on the island. Definitely don't plan this for your last day, just in case. Number two is that you will need a car and expect to drive more than you think that you will. First off, you really need a rental car. It's not that easy to get around without one. Uber is just not consistent, it's difficult to get one, and it is expensive if you can find one. And the bus only runs to most major areas, but it isn't really built out for tourism. While Kauai looks small on the map, the roads are slow and mostly one way. So going from Princeville to Waimea can take up to 2 hours one way if you get stuck in traffic or there's an accident or anything else. Try to plan your drives for before or after rush hour. And if you find you're stuck in a surprising amount of traffic, which honestly isn't that much, but just because of how the roads are only one lane, sometimes it really can just sort of get jammed up. I use it as an excuse to stop and enjoy the area you're in a little bit longer. We've discovered a few locally owned restaurants this way. Knowing what I know now, I would recommend splitting your stay if it's possible and if you want to see the whole island. So spend a few days on the south and then a few days on the north. That would probably be the easiest way to avoid a lot of the driving and traffic. In the winter, you might find it more enjoyable to stay in the south because it is the sunnier, drier side. And in the summer, I think that I would prefer to stay in the north just because it is less rainy in the north during the summer. And I love the beaches and the lush like greenery is really what makes me think of Hawaii. If you are staying in one area, just plan your days by area so that you can avoid some backtracking and make a full day of a specific area while you're on the island. Number three is that the rainbows are real and the roosters are loud. So I grew up in a rainy area and I never really appreciated the rain until I came to Kauai. You can see rainbows almost every day, and the best ones are always seen right after a heavy rain shower. My neighbor actually calls it rainbow season when it starts to rain daily, and it's really changed my outlook on what rain is and how much I appreciate it. The chickens, though. Kauai is full of free alarm clocks, and they don't always seem to know the time. The ones in my neighborhood start off at like 3 a.m. sometimes. You might find that this isn't an issue for you, but I like to just use a white noise machine or bring earplugs if you're a light sleeper. I remember when I first visited Kauai, how enchanting I thought that the chickens were. I was like chasing them around and sending videos of them to all of my friends. You will see them everywhere. And if you are eating outside, they will probably just find you. Number four is that not every hike is beginner friendly. Just because you're on vacation doesn't mean that you are a better hiker than you were at home, no offense. I love the idea though that you can hike year round. We were even hammock camping last December and that was amazing. But that said, people get rescued all the time when they're hiking, so plan ahead and be prepared. The trails here can get very muddy and slippery and steep quickly. So I find that a hiking pole is really helpful for me, but bring shoes that you're okay with getting wet and muddy and avoid hiking immediately after a heavy rain. All the hikes in the canyons start from the top, so you're going to hike down and then the hard part comes partway through and at the end. So that is something that you should know if you're hiking in Waimea Canyon. Number 5 is that food and groceries, they cost more than you think. This one might depend on where you're coming from, but in general, the food on Kauai can be expensive. Restaurant and grocery store prices are like 20 to 40% more than I think they are in the mainland USA and in Canada. Mostly due to the higher shipping and other expenses that are kind of passed on because this is an island. To save on food expenses, you can visit local food trucks, locally owned diner, cafe-style restaurants where the portions are usually really big, or visit deli-style takeout places like Pono Market and Konohiki Seafoods. You can also get poke at supermarkets like Foodland and stock up at Costco near the airport when you arrive. Your rental might come with a cooler, and we just pack one for days out. We might pick up a few things for takeout, throw it in the cooler, fill it with snacks and drinks, and then take it to a beach. And that's kind of a budget way to eat out while you're on Kauai. Some things I do think are worth splurging on. You will obviously want to try shave ice, and you should try malasadas if you haven't already. They are a Portuguese fried pastry, but on Kauai, they're usually filled with tropical and Hawaii-themed fillings like lilikoi, which is passion fruit, taro, and mango are some of my favorite fillings. Number 6 is that some beaches look calm, but they really are not. This one is kind of tricky. The current can be sort of deceptive, and the waves too, especially in the winter, where it looks safer than it really is. And some of the prettiest beaches are dangerous because of how the waves crash close to the shore, and they have dangerous undercurrents and shore breaks. So if there is no lifeguard and you don't see anyone swimming in the water, it's probably not a good sign that you should get in. Always check if there's a lifeguard and follow any posted signs or flags. And do not go swimming in cloudy or brown water. There is a warning called "if it's brown, turn around." And that's because after heavy rain, there's a lot of runoff that ends up in the streams and the rivers that end up in the ocean. And the increased food availability brings the sharks closer to the shore. So if it is brown, just turn around. Number 7 is that your trip doesn't need to be packed. I get it. You have come so far and you want to see and make sure you experience everything and have the best time. And I know it can be kind of stressful because there's a lot to see and a lot to do, and I know you don't want to miss out on anything. I think the big thing to do is plan the really big things that you want to do. My number 1 recommendation would be to do a boat tour on the Nepali coast. I think it's just so beautiful and definitely worth seeing. But leave space in your trip to slow down, enjoy, and relax on the island. It is impossible to see it all. Enjoy the things that you can and the time that you have, and just plan a trip to come back. So those are the things that I wish that I knew before I first came to visit Kauai. I have made a few guides that I hope will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, just send a message, and I hope this helps you plan your trip.